Take a look at the person next to you. Say God loves you and I love you too. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together, 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 we come together. In the name of love, we come together, 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 we come together. In the name of love. Now look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Now lift your voice and repeat after me. Oh, we come together, 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 we come together. In the name of love, we come together, we come together, we come together, we come together, we come together. In the name of love, from every walk of life, every walk of life, every creed and color, every creed and color. In kinship we unite, in honor of the God in each other. Take a look at the person next to you. Say namaste, I bow to you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. Oh, we come together. 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 In the name of love, we come together. 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 In the name of love, we come together. 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 In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. We come together. We come together.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Unity of Springfield. We're going to begin our service in song this morning by singing I Am the Thinker, which is page 16 in the red hymnal. Oh, it's in the blue book? Excuse me, it said hymnal on my chair. So. Blue book.
I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought I have the power to change my life. If you ask me who am I am wisdom, I am light, I am more than meets the eye, I cannot be defined. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought I have the power to change my life. If you ask me what am I am beauty, I am joy, I am more than meets the eye, I cannot be defined. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought I have the power to change my life. I can choose to be the light that brightens someone's darkest night. I am more than meets the eye, I cannot be defined. I am the thinker who thinks the thought that changes things that shape my life. I am the changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thought. I have the power to change my life. I have the power to change my life.
You may be seated. Well, a part of our greater connection to the unity movement, we connect and hold individual ministries in prayer every week. And this week, we hold all of the ministries in the state of North Carolina in our hearts. And so let us go into prayer right now. As we open our hearts, our minds, our whole being, through that infinite flow of spirit, and we are always in that flow. We are surrounded by the presence and power of God. And we see everyone in this state of North Carolina, all who are part of the human race, being blessed, and places all over the world, we connect with them as well. Thank you, God. Amen.
Okay, better late than never. Good morning and welcome to Unity. And we are so glad you're here today to join us for our worship service. And we extend a special welcome to those of you visiting us for the first time. On your way in, you should have received a welcome packet. We also have a gift for you, so please see one of our greeters today after the service. Unity is a worldwide spiritual movement. We are an inclusive community, and we welcome all people. I have a few announcements to share with you this morning. All are welcome to join the Flute Circle with David Tell on Thursday, April 11th at 1 o'clock, held in the sanctuary. Beginners are encouraged to come as well. You are also invited to the monthly drumming circle with David Tell on Thursday, April 18th at 6 o'clock, and that is held in Margaret Kane Hall. Mark your calendars. Joshua and Seal will be returning to Unity of Springfield the weekend of April 20th and 21st. Sign up for the personal sessions with Joshua on Saturday, and only a few slots remain. Then join in the Sunday service as Joshua shares his spiritual and musical talents. Stay after the service for lunch provided by the hospitality team. Then attend Joshua's class at 1 o'clock p.m., Sound, Alchemy, and Your Divine Blueprint. See details in the Unity weekly email update. The Unity Art Mall in Margaret Kane Hall is returning for a wonderful opportunity for artists to share their talents with our Unity family and friends. The exhibit will run from April 27th through August 17th. To kick off the event, we will be hosting an art reception on Saturday, April 27th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. in Margaret Kane Hall. We invite and encourage you to come and enjoy an evening of art, music, and light refreshments. Emails are sent out weekly that have information on current happenings and how to join in events. To sign up for your email, ask a greeter for a blue card and fill out both sides, or visit our website to subscribe. Also, check out our website for up-to-date information at unityofspringfieldil.org, all small letters. A special thanks to our 2023 to 2024 Board of Trustees. We appreciate all you have done to serve our Unity of Springfield community. Creating our lives and our world through the thoughts and beliefs we hold in mind is a spiritual principle we practice here at Unity of Springfield. And we also know this truth. Together, there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life. God, the source of all good. Our vision statement, a world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. Our mission statement. We recognize God is love, individualized in all people. Therefore, we provide a positive environment for spiritual growth that empowers all to be God's love in the world. Now, Linda Cantor will share with us today's daily word.
One of the announcements was missed. I don't know what happened, but we do have the annual meeting today after the service.
The daily word for Sunday, April 7th, is divine order. I see divine order expressing everywhere. I delight in the glorious colors, fragrances, and arrangements of plants in a garden. I celebrate the imagination, the meticulous planning, and the diligent work that transformed a patch of ground, some seeds, water, and fertilizer into a beautiful, life-filled place. I recognize the role of divine order in the creation of this garden, expressing through everyone who worked to bring it into being. It began as an idea in divine mind. Someone received the idea. Cooperating minds developed a plan. Willing hands prepared soil, planted seeds, then watered and tended the growing plants. My spiritual vision perceives divine order, the eternal dance of mind, idea, and manifestation expressing everywhere. And from Genesis chapter 1, verse 31, God saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. And again, if you would like to join me in the affirmation, I see divine order expressing everywhere.
And now we're going to sing number 5, Breath Flows In, Blue Book.
Breath flows in, breath flows out, ebbs and flows, that's what life is about. So
Let us now prepare for a time of meditation and inner reflection. And we begin by just gently closing our eyes and letting go of our outer gaze and turning it within. Indeed, our breath ebbs and flows. We breathe in and breathe out. And so in preparation for a deeper awareness, a deeper knowing, a deeper experience, let us become aware of the flow of our breath and allow it to become relaxed, free-flowing, without hurry, without hesitation, but simply natural and easy. Breathe in, and then let go of the breath. And continue to feel yourself becoming more at peace, more relaxed, more your true self. We don't always realize that we are in God's presence, that it's within us and all around us and everywhere we go. We think that it's somewhere up there. It's up there, and it's here. It's here right now, in this moment. We are in it all the time. And so during meditation, we awaken to that truth. And by awakening to the truth, we mean that we feel it to be true. We feel its truth. And through that, we know it's the truth. And when we experience our connection and our oneness with God, with Spirit, with the source of the universe, we have a sense that all is well with us and with the universe. And that all the time that we spend in an outer focused awareness, where we experience the ebb and flow of emotions and perspectives, comes into a different focus when we go within and feel our way into spiritual understanding. When we feel and sense this almost indescribable something that is blessing us, nurturing us, loving us, accepting us. And from this knowing, we look at our world and we see everything working out. We see lessons being learned. We see blessings taking place that seem beyond reason and logic. But we know that all is unfolding toward even greater good, greater blessing, greater wholeness. And so we embrace this understanding in our hearts. We sense it as a flow of life, of light, of energy. A flow that enlivens the cells of our bodies, inspires our minds with ideas, creative ideas, ideas that bring forth solutions. And what we then understand is that this flow of good that we sense right now is eternal. It doesn't change. It doesn't appear one time and disappear another. It's always there. Wherever we are. That something, that feeling, that knowing is there. And it's something upon which we can depend to always be there. Every time we sit quietly, close our eyes, go within, and say to ourselves, I am here. I am here. And so for the next couple of minutes, let us sit in the quiet, calm, and peace of this place, or wherever you're experiencing this service right now. And just say to this something we call spirit, that we call God, I am here. For a moment, in the silence. Right now, each one of us is immersed in the infinite spirit, the infinite power, the infinite love of the divine. And we carry that awareness with us back into our daily lives. And from this inner understanding and awareness, we see our world for what it truly is. beautiful place, a place that is our home, where we live, all of us together, with the great potential for harmony, abundance, and wholeness. And we take this moment now to give thanks for this opportunity we've had to be here in this moment and to experience this time of meditation. And we give thanks in the name and through the power of the living Christ's presence within us all. And so it is. Amen. Well, I'd like to thank everybody who's a part of this service, to our music staff, Kay and Alyssa. You guys are great. And to Bill and Linda for doing the announcements, better late than never. I should have given you a cue, Bill. I'm sorry for that. And Shelley and Danny back there in our booth, and someone that I really should mention every week, and somebody who's actually physically not here, and that's Chris Farashine, because we wouldn't have these PowerPoint slides. Yeah. Welcome to everybody who's watching us today on YouTube and Facebook live stream. You know, last week, many people attended church services, attended very specific church service, Easter Sunday. And they heard, it doesn't matter what church you went to, they heard about Jesus' resurrection, the empty tomb, and the whole story around that. But do you know what happened on Easter afternoon? That same day, 2 of Jesus' followers were walking to the village of Emmaus, 7 miles from Jerusalem. And as they walked along, they were talking about everything that had happened. And as they talked and discussed these things, Jesus suddenly came and began walking with them, but they didn't recognize him. And he asked them, "What are you discussing so intently as you walk along?" Well, they stopped short with sadness written on their faces. Then one of them, Cleopas, replied, "Well, you must be the only person in Jerusalem who hasn't heard about all the things that have happened there these last few days." What things? Well, the things that happened to Jesus, the man from Nazareth. They said he was a prophet who did powerful miracles, and he was a mighty teacher in the eyes of God and all people. But our leading priests and other religious leaders handed him over to be condemned to death, and they crucified him. And we had hoped he was the Messiah who had come to rescue Israel. And this all happened 3 days ago. And then some women from our group of followers were at his tomb early this morning, and they came back with an amazing report. They said his body was missing, and they had seen angels who told them Jesus is alive. And some of our men ran out to see, and sure enough, his body was gone, just as the women had said. And then Jesus said to them, "Well, you foolish people, you find it so hard to believe that all the prophets wrote in the scriptures? Wasn't it clearly predicted that the Messiah would have to suffer these things before entering into his glory?" Then Jesus took them through the writings of Moses and all the prophets, explaining from all the scriptures the things concerning himself. By this time, they were nearing Emmaus and the end of their journey, and Jesus acted as if he were going to be going on. But they begged him, "Well, stay with us tonight, since it's getting late." So he went home with them, and they sat down to eat. And he took the bread and blessed it. And then he broke it and gave it to them, and suddenly their eyes were opened, and they recognized him. And at that moment, he disappeared. And they said to each other, "Didn't our hearts burn within us as he talked with us on the road and explained the scriptures to us?" And within the hour, they were on their way back to Jerusalem. There they found the 11 disciples and the others who had gathered with them, who said, "The Lord has really risen." Easter afternoon. I think we can all imagine what it would have been like to walk with Jesus because, each one of us are these two guys, Cleopas and his friend. And this story is more than an historical account of what took place. It's much more about how we live our lives, this walk to Emmaus. Think about it. Would any of us recognized Jesus? And why would we have recognized him, or why would we have not recognized him? It's all about having clear, spiritual guided perception. And for some reason, these two guys, they could not see Jesus at all. They were hit with a temporary blindness. And it's not that they couldn't see physically, not that kind of blindness. They were consumed with the blindness of their despondency. Their gloominess, their own dubiousness and disillusion prevented them from seeing who he was. They were seeing life through their minds, not their eyes. And this is something we do all the time, 24/7, don't we? Like these two guys. We don't see reality as it truly is. We're stuck seeing the world through the filter of our minds. And they were locked into seeing through the ups and downs of their emotions. They were consumed with grief. They were consumed with disbelief. You see, to them, Jesus didn't exist anymore. So they can't see him walking next to them. It doesn't fit in with their understanding of reality. He just didn't come up on their radar. They didn't have their radar set for Jesus. They couldn't see him. And we read their eyes were kept from recognizing him. And we're kind of like that too, seeing exclusively our world through our minds. Why do we do that? It's called selective perception. We see what we want to see. We see what's inside of us, not so much what's really there. It's not that we need an eye exam. We just need a consciousness shift. Now, selective perception, it's not bad, it's not evil, it's not wrong. In a way, it's sort of a derivation of our principle of mind, action, and unity, the third principle. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. If you hold a certain thought in your mind, you're going to see it in the world. It's what we teach. Now, normally when we talk about this principle, we think about it as we're co-creating our world with God. God's working through us. And if we want to see a change in our experience, we have to cooperate with this principle to let it happen. What you see is what you get, spiritually speaking. But when it comes to selective perception, you get what you see within. What's inside of us is what we can see in the outer world. So what you feel is possible is the only thing that you're going to see. And if you don't think it's possible, you probably won't see it. If you believe Jesus had risen, well, maybe you could have seen him. But Cleopas and his companion, this is just another guy walking along. Just another guy. So we have to come to grips with the fact that we're doing this all the time. We overlay or project upon our world what is in our consciousness, what's in our minds, our issues, our stuff, our predispositions to life that then show up as our perceptions of what's going on. And because of that, we often miss what's really going on around us. Instead, we do what? We come to snap conclusions. We make assumptions. And we instinctively project an alternative reality on, and I like to call this the canvas of our experience. You know, we're painting, but with our minds. I will share an example. I remember one morning we were living at our home in Florida, and Donna woke up and she said, "I can hear some water running." It's probably the water softener. You know, we had a water softener. We actually had our own well, and that water needed treatment. And it would come on automatically in the middle of the night, but she was kind of puzzled why she could hear this in the morning, you know, like around 8 in the morning. Well, Danny had already gone to work, and I took a walk outside, and I noticed a whole bunch of water streaming down our driveway into the street from our garage. That's the left photo. Mm-hmm. Now, in her mind, it's the water softener. Well, it could have been. But the fact is, our hot water heater decided, "I'm done." Sounds like some of you have had a similar experience. I'm finished. So the handyman in me went into action. Those are the other slides. You know, I went and got a hot water heater from a familiar place. Here it is in the back of my Swedish F-150. I own a few pipe wrenches. And there's the finished product, the repair. And of course, being a responsible handyman, I presented Donna with the bill. Basically, your standard $78 removal of the old water heater. Now, disposing of it, that was free because I dragged it out on the street and an hour later it was gone. Free. But then delivery, another $78. Installation, your basic $225 to put it in. And the unit itself was $449. The bill came to $830. I said, there you go. You know what she did in response? She gave me the eye. And I smiled and said this. Oh, God. Whoa. Whoa. That's not what I did. Can we get back? Can we get back? We're going to get back. God is blue. I learned that in ministerial school. There we go. This is what I said. I didn't get the $830, but I did get a thank you. You may be familiar with the term implicit bias. We all have implicit bias, and it depends who we are. And who we are is how we look at others and how we look at the world with a certain bias. And this can be particularly challenging no matter where you live. Well, where do we live here? We live in Springfield. And what I'm sharing here with you are the demographics of Springfield. This is the 2020 census. I got it from a reliable source, Wikipedia. We all know that's perfect. Now, in the church business, we do a lot of looking at demographics, particularly who's the demographic of your neighborhood, who's the demographic of your congregation, things like that, so we can think about how to focus our efforts and our energies. And so I know that talking about things like this can be a little touchy when you talk about demographics in this way, but it's important to understand it. It's important because many of us think that we don't have implicit bias. That we're way beyond that, we're open-minded, we're all God's children, and we elect to recognize that our outlook and biases are dependent upon who we are. Biases that have been influenced from our family upbringing, our culture, and who our friends are. Think about your top 10. I'm not talking about David Letterman's top 10 from The Late Show, okay? Your top 10 people who you would trust with your life. I don't mean family members, people outside your family. Think of these top 10 right now, or top 5, or whatever. And what are their characteristics? What's their gender? What's their ethnicity? What's their sexual orientation? What's their age? And my question is, how many of these people are like you? And that can be very revealing. Because our biases, our perceptions are selective, but we don't even know we're doing it. It's unconscious. It's like a chip inside of us that's got a program that's running in the background. And that program can skew our sense of reality. And it only allows us to perceive reality that matches what's going on in our minds. I'll give you another example. 2 photos of somebody. On the left side, you see kind of a professional-ish photo. Guy's wearing a suit. Could be at their job, in a church, smiling. Then you see the one on the right. Looks like a real punk, doesn't he? And there were times, by the way, I wore a suit for years in church as a minister, and I don't know, I guess I get too old to do that all the time because the suits, anyway. But I did for most of my career, right up until about when I moved to Florida, is when I decided to give it up for a very, very long Lent. But I would often run into people just out in shopping or, at a gas station or something that I knew, but I'd be dressed like the Fonz over here, and they didn't know it was me. They recognized me. Happened all the time. And I wasn't offended by that because I realized they're used to seeing that, the guy on the left. And that image did not match up with the reality that was in front of them. That's why they couldn't see me. Now, sometimes I'd walk up and start smiling, and they kind of go like this, and they're, "Oh, it's you. Hi, Reverend," like that. And sometimes I just go, "Just leave it alone," and move on. It's selective perception. And selective perception is often influenced by our implicit bias of how we were raised, the people we're generally around most of the time, people that are in our top 10 or top 5. But it's there. I'll give you another example. Wow. You ever flown on that airline? Anybody? Nobody? You've never heard of that, huh? Wow. Wow. It's an awesome airline. They're out of business now. Maybe it was the color. I don't know. We know that. We flew on this airline. I took this photo. And we flew this airline. It was a very ingenious airline. And I'm sorry they went out of business. I don't know why they didn't. It was the pandemic that did it. This was an Icelandic-based airline. And what they did is they used Iceland as a giant aircraft carrier. And they would fly their planes from North America to here, and then you'd make your connection to the European cities that you wanted to fly to. And they were a discount airline. I mean, really, really much less expensive than the main carriers. But you go through passport control in this airport, Reykjavik, it's actually south of Reykjavik. So I can technically say I've been to Scandinavia, sort of. I'll explain why here in a moment, because I remember after we went through passport control, we waited about an hour for our flight, and then we had to go and get on the flight, and there was somebody to check our tickets. And when we walked up to check out, the guy looked at me and began speaking in Icelandic. Now, I don't know the Icelandic language fluently, but I know a few words of Swedish. And I was sort of hoping that it would be close. Apparently it was. I said thank you in Swedish. If you want to know how to say thank you in Swedish, it's really easy. Or thanks. Tack. Repeat after me. Tack. Very good, very good. But what was going on here is that this ticket taker saw one of his fellow citizens because I physically matched up with how he was perceiving me as a local flying to Paris. And I tried my best to affirm that for them. I didn't say, excuse me, je suis français, I am French. Je désolé, I'm sorry. No, I didn't do that. When you look at this, do you see 3 or 4 boards? Well, it depends. You know, if you're the guy over here, oh, there's 4. But then the guy over here says, no, there's 3. Depends on your perception, right? Depends on where you're standing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Selective perception. The process by which the brain actively selects, organizes, and assigns meaning to incoming neural messages sent from sensory receptors. For example, sensory viewpoint. The American flag is a mass of red, white, and blue colors in horizontal and vertical lines, and I forgot to add, and a bunch of little stars on the blue. But we perceive this image as splotches of color and an array of lines as the American flag. So we look at that, and it's an American flag, because that's how we understand it in here, not just, oh, it's just some art thing, and it's got these stripes and stuff like that. When we look at someone, we start seeing them with what's in our minds. We start seeing them with our implicit bias. What's one of the first things you do when you see somebody? Well, you kind of look at their clothes, don't you? How are they dressed? Very nice. Or kind of, okay. Do you ever look at their shoes? If you look at somebody's shoes, that'll tell you a lot about how they're doing. Are they wearing makeup or not, if they're somebody you would expect to wear makeup or maybe not? Or maybe you look at the tie they're wearing if they're dressed in a business suit. Very nice ties, guys, today. Very nice. How do they walk? Did they always walk really fast, quickly? Are they kind of slow? Are they kind of bewildered? Are they wild with a shopping cart at Walmart? Do we notice their perceived ethnicity? We don't like to admit it, but sometimes we make conclusions based on what we think somebody's ethnic background is. We do it. Or if we learn of somebody's educational level, we might have a viewpoint of them. Like maybe they never finished high school, or they have a PhD, and so we have a whole bunch of biases toward people who have some sort of educational level. Oh, they just have a bachelor's degree. What do they know? That's me, by the way. And then we find out where they live and which side of the what. Now, in Springfield, there's a lot of tracks here. So, I don't know. And then what do they drive? Car. You look at the car, I do, because I'm a car. 1957 model, Golden Hawk. That's me. Those of you who know Studebaker cars know that's a pretty good car. I would drive one. What if you saw your minister drive up in this? What is that? That's a surplus police interceptor. Yeah, it belonged to the Elkhart County, Indiana Sheriff's Department. And for about a year, that's what I drove to my job in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. You know why I drove it? Because of the winters. They designed these to drive through any winter. It's got a cop alternator. I know because I put one in it. It's more expensive than the regular ones. I had snow tires put on every wheel of this car. I went to Menards, which is, by the way, the only home improvement store in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, because that's the home of Menards, and put 210 pounds of sand in the trunk of this car. And this is how I drove to work every day. Oh, here he comes in his police car. Now, this car didn't belong to me. It was on loan to me from my son. And you'll notice, if you have very good vision, the front license plate is a Minnesota license plate. But when you see somebody drive up, and then, by the way, I did add one accessory to it. It's not on this photo of it. I added it later. I had some Blues Brothers decals put on the side of it. Yes. A very spiritual movie if you've never seen it. But all this stuff enters our minds when we see what somebody's driving. And we develop viewpoints based on our selective perceptions, our implicit bias. Until we can see life clearly without expectation of the reality that we believe in, then our filter of our consciousness becomes clogged, preventing us from seeing things as they genuinely are. So what can we do about it? How can we sort of unclog all this stuff that's locked up in our minds? How can we do that? How can we awaken from our self-induced selective perceptions? Well, it's when we break the bread that opens our eyes to the truth, and we begin to see clearly. To clear our mental filter, we have to start identifying first with what's around us. Now, each one of us, I think, has our eyes open here, and just go around and start looking at stuff. So like, look at the person's hair in front of you, and whatever color hair that is, kind of say to yourself, well, they have this color hair. Or I noticed that little table over there has a kind of a glass-looking bowl on it, and kind of just say to yourself, well, there's a table over there with that on there. And then we have this candle here, it's kind of lit. Ow. Just kidding. But start getting in touch with what's really there and talk it through in your mind, or talk it through verbally. And when we do that, it snaps the mind out of preconceptions and biases and moves us to the facts, where we can see our world without commentary, without that commentary that's like speaking in your head. And the next thing we need to do is what we want to really get to, is to begin to see ourselves more deeply, to see the spiritual aspects around us by discovering them within ourselves, to perceive our world from the heart, from spirit, from our meditative connection. If we're going to behold the Christ in other people, we've got to first behold it where? In ourselves. It's like being on an airplane and they say, well, you know, if we leave cabin pressure, be sure to take the mask and put it on yourself before helping your child. It's kind of like that. You got to do it ourselves first. And when I say the word Christ, I'm not talking about the historical Jesus. We're talking about what Jesus represents in us. And so if Cleopas and his companion, and I would tell you his name if I knew it. I take issue with the writer of Luke. Should have put his name there, but I don't know. If they hadn't been so consumed with their grief and their depression, they would have recognized Jesus. They would have seen the Christ Spirit in him because they would have then been aware of it themselves. And throughout the walk, they gradually awakened to who he was. They thought about their experience with Jesus' words, and they said, didn't our hearts burn within us as he talked with us on the road and explained the scriptures to us? So as we prayerfully attune ourselves, we'll begin to see others from the Christ perspective. We'll see the potential for it, even if maybe it's not being expressed at that moment. Because we'll be seeing beyond the outer behavior of somebody to the potential of the Christ within them. We'll see them for who they are, expressions of God. As spiritual beings first, not as a person of this ethnicity or this educational level or lives on this side of the tracks. We'll set up that Christ-to-Christ connection. And when the bread is broken, poof, we see clearly. So metaphysically speaking, the walk to Emmaus is a story about us and how we walk through life. And if we could walk with Jesus as they did, would we have recognized him? Well, it depends how we select our perceptions. And now we're going to make a very, very cool selective perception. We're going to begin now to perceive our blue books. Number 5. Is it number 5? 19, sorry. Number 19, I'm going to shine. Blue books.
It is up to all of us to show what we're about, to share the love that's in our soul, the love that never runs out. Scatter the joy and spread the wood, be a star shining bright. Fan the flame of life within you and shine your light. I'm gonna shine, shine, shine. I'm gonna shine, shine, shine. Glowing from an infinite spark, I am divine. I'm gonna shine, shine, shine. I'm gonna shine, shine, shine. Walking in the Spirit, I'm doing fine, fine, fine.
We want to do it again?
Sure. It is up to all of us to show what we're about, to share the love that's in our soul, the love that never runs out. Scatter the joy and spread the word, be a star shining bright. Fan the flame of life within you and shine your light. I'm
Thank you, Gay and Alyssa. Well, now we prepare for a time of blessing our gifts and tithes. Here we go. And so we have a number of ways that you can donate to our church. Of course, you can go to our website, which is unityofspringfieldil.org. And there's a donate link on there. You can also text to 217-335-4121. And you can always mail us a check at, I love this part, Unity of Springfield, 417 Cordelia, Springfield, Illinois, 62703. And the reason I know that zip code, I live on that side of the tracks. So anyway. So you do too. All right. So please take your gift in your hand. If you give electronically, think of that gift as we bless it with these words of love and increase together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. Amen. And now, let us join together in praying the prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And now let us rise, and if you'd like to join hands, you can, as we sing together, Let There Be Peace on Earth. Welcome to the annual meeting.
Give people a couple minutes to get settled, and then we'll get started.